Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Nick Savage here, Director of Student Ministries at Salem and The Connection. And I just want to touch base with you as sort of a recap from our first meeting. What is confirmation? We talked about what it means to be a parent and going through this process, what it means as a student. We also covered dates and then expectations and things like that. And I just want to kind of leave a recap here so you can always go back. And if there's any questions that you have, there's a video resource that you'll have that will answer some of these questions outright. And if you didn't have an opportunity to write them down when we were meeting in person, you can always go back to this video and write down and take any notes that you would like. The first thing I want to tell you to do is check out the curriculum PDF, because there's a great article by Joe Levino called Beyond Baptism, What Confirmation Means to United Methodists. And I think it's a great reminder of why we really sign up to do what we do as teachers, why you sign up your children, and then also for ways that you can formulate and help your children understand why you've signed them up for confirmation to better help them understand. And of course, we're going to be giving them a lot of things to digest and helping them come to some conclusions. But I think it's important to be able to have that ongoing conversation at home because we're working together as a team. And so this is mostly for parents. It's a little bit informal, but it's going to sort of cover some of the frequently asked questions that I think came up in both our meeting and some of the questions that I've got through emails. And like I said, I think the best place to start is with that article by Joe Levino at the beginning of our curriculum. And now I'm going to kind of scroll down the curriculum and just continue to talk about some of those things that we talked about. Just a quick reminder that the first part of the curriculum after the article starts with expectations. And so, as all of you know, we are here in a pandemic. In fact, in St. Louis, in the middle of the United States, we're not only in a pandemic from a virus, but we're also in the middle of a snowstorm and crazy weather that no one can really predict. And so when we talk about 80% of attendance for class or worship, I really think that as the church has been able to stay and remain the church, both in person and online, I think that I feel like the same way applies for how we're going to look at 80% of attendance for both homework and church attendance. So when we talk about that and when you see it show up in the curriculum, I just want to remind you that as much as we appreciate you joining us online, especially when the pandemic first started, we are greatly appreciative of your participation online for things like confirmation too. And so I just want to make sure that the students are honestly engaging in the work the best they can. And the evidence will be in answering questions and asking questions and conclusions that we're able to come to together, and even be able to have and hold up conversations about some of the topics from the videos. That's really what we're looking for from the homework assignments. And as long as we can do that, and you can let me know by subscribing to our YouTube channel and liking or commenting on the videos, I think we're golden. I think that 80% attendance can still go towards your attendance if you're doing it online. We also talked about community service, and just as a quick blurb about community service, we're going to be working really tightly with our outreach ministry and also our children's ministry, our hospitality ministries. So there are a lot of opportunities for you to get connected for community service, be it church community or the actual community that you live in, or church communities that we're connected to, like The Connection, which is our sibling church. And so there's different ways that you can be connected to helping with outreach and service. And it's already built in. And the big part is just showing up. And then after that, the next part is just saying yes. So there's nothing that you'll have to do driving out of your way or going out of your way. And even if you are somebody who's mostly meeting with us online, there are still going to be some ways that you can help connect with that Salem outreach. One of those ways is going to be our outreach page actually has an Amazon cart. So even if you don't do anything else and you're not able to be anywhere in person, one of the things you can do is donate your financial gifts to purchasing some things that could go in our Amazon cart that can later be used for the designated places in our outreach that Director Roy Jones is so great at organizing. We also talked about participation in class and homework and things like that. One of the things that I kind of missed talking about this is the attendance for church, the attendance for class, the outreach and class homework. All of that stuff you can find by clicking on the hyperlinks that are built in the syllabus. And so when we're talking about homework, there's a big, bold hyperlink that says class homework, and you can click on that and it will take you to a Google Drive. And the same thing is true when trying to connect for our YouTube channel, our outreach, and our Zoom links. So you can use the syllabus to go find all of the course resource material. It's all there in the syllabus, in the hyperlinks. Those assignments I'm expecting you to have done by the time you meet for the following class period. And before next Tuesday, you do have an assignment. And so you can find that by just simply watching the very first video. And I'll make sure I include that in the email. And then the final thing, as far as expectations, is that I do want to be able to meet on sort of an individual basis with each student. So we're going to need to do that here up front as confirmation begins. And then at the very end of confirmation, we're going to need to do that and have some very engaging and personal conversations. And I won't be doing that alone. Of course, you've already met Emily Smith, who's the director of our children's ministry. You've also met Jacob, who is a director of our technology and also an incredible worship leader that works with us. They will be joining me in sort of having these conversations with the students on an individual basis, where we can kind of ask some questions and allow them to ask questions without feeling some of the pressure from other students. And so I want to remind you that that's there. And on that topic, I also want to remind you that on our 412 cards, as you walk in the building or in the chat sections, if you're online, you are always encouraged to direct message me or write something down on the card and then share it with me later if you have questions that you feel like are not exactly appropriate to be asking, or you feel like it's a question that you would just rather ask privately. You are more than welcome to do that. So that's kind of it with expectations. The nuances of those expectations are specific events. And so that's going to include church calendar events, and especially during Lent, Ash Wednesday, Palm Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Good Friday, and Easter Sunday. And I did have parents ask me, are those services to be expected to attend in person or online? And it was really the same answer that was given for all of our homework and all church attendance. It's that because we appreciate that you have attended even when you couldn't be in the building, for those people who aren't exactly ready to come back or just have a rhythm of watching online, we certainly appreciate that. And that's certainly going to count for those other special Lenten services. Following that, it's the general class schedule and the teaching units. And the teaching units part kind of just shows that you're not going to just hear from me. There's a diverse amount of voices in our pastoral staff, and we're fortunate enough that they have said yes to help come teach some of these concepts. And so you're going to be able to hear from some of the wisest people that we have around in our church community about some of these topics. You'll be able to hear from other than me, and they will give you some insight that I couldn't possibly give. And so I'm thankful and blessed that I have such an awesome pastoral staff and team that can work with me on confirmation. And that's in addition to Jacob and Emily, who will always frequently be around, as well as Roy Jones, who's the director of outreach and also has a heart for this youth ministry that we've been doing. And then other than that, the general class schedule is pretty straightforward. It's every Tuesday from 7 o'clock to 8:30, and you'll have those special guests, and they will be teaching frequently. And then aside from that, it does include the breaks like spring break, and it also includes confirmation Sunday. Now, one of the mistakes that we put on the calendar was that confirmation Sunday is going to be March 28th, and that is not true anymore. The official time and date for confirmation 2022 is May 22nd, 2022, and it will be at 9:30 in our church's sanctuary. I'm sorry for any confusions with that. We have a very busy church schedule, thank goodness, and we're trying to get back into the flow of what it means to have multiple things happening in the life of the church. And as you can imagine, so many things were in jeopardy or canceled. And so we're just working out what it means to get back in the flow of communicating on our church calendar. And so for anybody that caused an inconvenience, I'm very sorry. But the official date is May 22nd, 2022 at 9:30 a.m. in the sanctuary. The confirmands will have their own full-length service, and that service will also be recorded. So any family that can't be there in person but would like to see you confirmed in the faith can do that from a distance. That pretty much wraps up confirmation. So I thank you so much. This is a relatively long video. What you're gonna find out is that for me, generally, the videos, other than the actual teaching ones, are gonna be about 2 minutes long to help prep you for what's to come. And that way, they'll be short and to the point. And if you need to rewatch them, you don't have to try and grasp a ton of information, and you don't have a lot of notes to take down. We'll do most of that in class. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you students, and hopefully if you're a parent and you're watching this, you know that I appreciate your supporting youth ministry. And I just want to let you know that we couldn't do any of this without your support, that your giving and your support has made confirmation, and especially in this pandemic, it's made it possible. And so I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful for what you've done to help grow our youth ministry. And if you didn't know it now, just know that you are loved by our staff and by our pastors at Salem United Methodist Church, and that your children are dearly loved, and that we want to do everything that we can to make sure they have the best experience for this Confirmation 2022 that is possible. Thank you for being with me and spending this time, and I look forward to seeing you soon.